Here at the Giver Marketing Network, we don't leave you drifting out in space. We connect you to a coach who will help you build and grow your marketing business. Our process acts as a guide on how to connect with other businesses, maintain good relations, and establish a presence on the Giver Marketing Network. Each member within this collaborative group will have the opportunity to leverage your talent and influence, a true network effect. If you are looking to collaborate on more projects, welcome to the Giver Marketing Network, the most trusted and highest rated collective of specialists on the planet. Here we have a group of like-minded professionals who focus on making valuable introductions and helping each other grow by teaming up. Imagine Upwork meets a network and a coach. The talent collectively includes services like visibility and SEO, creating logos, designing websites, managing social media, outreach messaging, visual storytelling, and much more. Think of what you could do with laser-focused allies strengthening your business while offering your talents to the entire network. Click near this video for more information.
Hello. Welcome to the Tuesday marketing broadcast hosted by Giver Marketing Network. And we are excited today. We have Joel Snyder in the house. Woot, woot.
Happy to be here.
Oh, you are in for a treat. Joel has this ability to look at a situation and just point out like, well, what about this? And you're like, oh, brilliant, right? So he's bringing his brilliance to the table for us today, and I can't wait. We've got one of those really cool, like modern edge marketing topics tonight, don't we?
Yeah, we're going to really talk about how the voice search and the AI newswire work together. So optimizing your content to make that turbocharge your visibility.
Oh, that's exciting. This is one of those topics. Like, pull out your pen and paper, start taking notes. If you want to take notes in the chat, that's a great place for other people to be able to see, oh yeah, what's in there? Oh, I want to watch that, right? So let's share, let's add some insights because, oh my goodness, he's bringing his A game today and you're in a lot of trouble. So take those notes. Are you ready? Now, I want to say, look, Joel, you've been doing fractional CMO work for a while now. You've got so many, just a team of just great team to help bring it all together. How did you get to where you are today?
Well, I mean, it really just the honesty of working with the client puts your interest in their best interest. And I always tell people, I'm not a marketing guy, I'm a client advocate for marketing. So when I sit down with the client, we want to know how you do business, how do you get your information, what do you do with your leads when they arrive, who's in charge of follow-ups. I mean, so if we understand how you do business, then we can streamline your marketing and direct your data to work within the flow of your normal business process. So when it comes to how we get here, it's more a question of, can we move the client forward and what's important to them? And so by doing that and having that advocacy approach, it's allowed us to work in multiple industries because a lot of the principles are the same. And we'll be talking a little bit about that in the presentation today. So these best practices, they're not, they're industry agnostic. You just kind of got to do it. It's kind of like rent.
I love it. And I know you come with kind of a corporate background, right? So you're taking corporate background meets modern day marketing and just wow.
Yeah, it was fun. I got my start in the incentive industry, and we worked with corporations on rewarding employee behavior because based on how they behaved, it affected the bottom line profits of the company. So if we could modify those behaviors, the company could benefit while also rewarding the employees for positive behavior. So things like fewer accidents, less waste, better attendance, all of those things, suggestions, using the employee corporate brain trust to come in and say, hey, maybe we could do things a little differently and improve our bottom line results. So coming from there and then saying to our local and regional companies, these principles apply to you too, and helping them grow so that they could feed their local economies and provide more jobs and all of the good things, and donate to Little League and things like that. That's really my passion. And so bringing that down and expanding that vision to our local and regional companies so that they could hire more people and contribute to their communities just really makes a lot of sense. And so we're having a lot of fun doing that.
I love it. So today's specialty, what we're talking about, is this something that small businesses and big businesses can work on, or who's this best for?
So it's a gotta have. It's really not about what kind of business you are. It's how people are interacting with businesses today. And so if you're not optimizing your content and you're not reaching out to your audience in the way they want to be reached, you're not answering questions quickly and succinctly, they're passing you by. So whether you're a retail company or a service industry, it doesn't matter. If you're B2B or B2C, it really doesn't matter. All of these things may be used in different ways and applied with a different emphasis, but the best practice has to be consistent and it needs to be there.
Oh boy. Okay. He's ready to rock and roll. Watch out. You've been warned. Pull out that paper and pen.
It's a bit of a fire hose, so hang on to your seats. Put on your protective apparel, and let's rock and roll.
Let's do it. All right.
So today we're talking about optimizing your content for voice search and the AI newswire. And when we understand the voice search behavior, it helps us to do that. So what we're going to look at, first of all, a little bit about our company. This is our team. It's a full service. Like I said, we're marketing advocates. We're here to put your marketing in the best light to how it works for your business. And you can see our content creators and administrators there. And then, of course, the big boss down in the lower right-hand corner, old cool hand Luke. He always keeps an eye on what's going on around here and makes sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to do. So a little intro. It's all about making your content heard. So if you think about online search behavior, 50% is now voice-based or more. And so these numbers just grow exponentially over time. So even as we speak, they're growing, right? But when you're relying on assistants like Siri and Alexa to find local businesses and services, you got to think about how people are searching for it. So we need to adopt our content strategy to match how that works. So how are people searching today? So when you think about it, voice search is just what it sounds like, right? So we used to say, we would search, we would type best plumber Phoenix, right? Or best plumber near me, whatever it is. But with voice search now, people don't type, you don't talk the way you type, right? So you have to now optimize for the way people talk. So now people are saying, hey, Google, right? Who's the best plumber near me? That, and then what is it you're looking for? You're looking for emergency service and so on, right? So we have to keep that into consideration, that when it comes time to really talk about how we're optimizing, then we have to make sure that it matches. So here's some things you want to know. The impact on your business if you don't follow these practices. If you're not optimized for voice search, then probably companies are being left out of search results, because a non-optimized business is going to get much lower visibility. And if you see that fourth bullet there, 72% of voice searchers say they would bypass a business that doesn't appear in a voice search result. That gives you an idea. that gives you an idea of what happens in terms of your own visibility. How many times, Christine, do you hear your clients say, how do I get on page 1 of Google? And we do all these best practices, right? A lot.
Yeah.
And we ask them, in your marketing, what's the most important desired outcome?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I want more business. And then you realize you're not on first page of Google. And you say, how do I get on Google's first page? Right? But they leave out all the steps to get there. Right? It's like, well, I'm paying for ads. I should be on the first page. I'm paying $10,000 a month for my pool service. How come I'm not on page 1 of Google? Right? Well, here's a clue. If you're not optimized, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter how many reviews you have. It doesn't matter how compliant you are in the algorithm. If you're not optimizing your content for voice search, you're just not going to show up. And people are going to go by you because ease, convenience, that's what people are looking for, right? And when we talk about the impact on commerce, if you're talking $19.4 billion was generated out of voice search in 2024, how much revenue are you missing out on by not being optimized? Right?
Yeah, and I guess I've never really thought about the fact that we type different than we speak, right? So when you're doing, and I do the voice thing all the time. Hey, I need, right? Hey, Siri, all the time. So yeah, trying to optimize for that. You know, it's not, we're doing it, but we're not doing it, right? We're using it, but we're not necessarily saying, oh, what do I need to do to my business in order to show up that way?
Yeah, and sometimes, I think of it, and I'm a grammar snob. It's like I don't want to write a blog that's, that has bad grammar in it or speaks weird, right? So just because I want to optimize for an algorithm, but you can have both, right? You just have to be, you have to not necessarily take an AI version and call it gold. You have to say, okay, here's good content. It's got some, if I ask my agent to write for SEO optimization, right? Now my question is it written for voice search? And so, as we look at it, voice search, we've got they're projecting a growth of 9.7%. I think it's going to be, 9.7, 10.7, 50 per, it's just going to continue to grow as we become more and more acclimated to how we perform our online behavior.
And that makes a lot of sense.
So you can see the next thing that we want to talk about is this thing called featured snippet optimization. And if we are not taking advantage of that, you're missing out on 40% of the voice search responses. So
all right, what is a featured snippet?
Right? I'm going to talk about that. But this is
good. This
is all part of this optimization, content optimization, right? But I put that little tidbit in here to show you the layering effect, right? Mm-hmm. So if we're not following best practices of what voice search optimization is, we're just going to miss it, and we just become invisible. So here's a few tips. One is we're going to use our natural language. So we're going to speak like we're talking with a friend. We're going to write that way as well. Snippets. So when we talk about optimizing snippets, it's phrases that answer a question. And we can create these, and probably your most relevant relationship to it is when you do a search, there's a section that says people also ask. And then there's a set of questions that Google puts up and provides answers for. That's where snippets go. So Google is looking for that content to throw in there. And if you really want to, I don't want to call it game the system, but if you really want to have a rabbit hole to go down, find that question that is most important to your business and look for an answer that's old. and then rewrite that question and answer it in today's language and make it fresh, and Google will replace the old with the new. So when you think about, these questions, they're not just random Google placements. They are, but they're based on a few things like, when was it published? How did people interact with it? Is it clear? Is it concise? Right?
Yeah, and if
And
you've
then-
ever done a Google search and you've come up with information like, oh, this is a really old article, have they not done something more current since then? I mean, why would Google bring this up? Right?
Yeah.
If that's your business or your industry, maybe this is an opportunity.
It is an opportunity, right? And that's why that clear content, and we're going to talk about how the specificity around it to get you shown. But you can see smart local SEO, how people ask, where can I find a certified accountant in Scottsdale? Not just an accountant in Arizona or someone near me, right? So when we're optimizing for the AI chatbots, our structured data, we'll have clear and concise answers. And then this I put in bold, FAQ optimizations. This is what's valuable for the AI chatbot, right? They're looking for question answer format. So again, talking about what we just did prior about structured snippets and frequently asked questions showing up in search, this is where your FAQ optimization on your website makes a lot of sense. And then we want to use conversational keywords. So 7 to 9 words, right? Currently, we put in long tail keywords and they're like 3 or 4 words, right? But when we're talking about conversational keywords, they're much longer than that. Just as I showed you in that little search example of accountants in Arizona versus where can I find a certified public accountant in Scottsdale, right? You wouldn't type that. Right? No one would type that.
Right, you wouldn't want to type that. That'd take too long, right? But we would say it. Well, and you got me thinking also, as we're getting more and more used to AI and having AI involved in everything that we do, right? From Google searches to not, right? We're starting as we get more practice with prompts, realizing exact details, exactly what we want, right? So we're starting to get much more specific with what we're asking for.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what the chatbots are looking for, is that direct answer to your question. And so when Google says, we gave you 10 million search results in 0.01 seconds, you can see what they're looking for, right? And that is the direct answer to the exact question. And so when we're writing for search, we want to put in questions in our keywords. Who does, where are they, what are they, the 5 W's, right? We used to say in grammar. And then you have the featured snippet optimization. Again, formatting matters, bullet points, numbered lists, right? Keeping answers concise, right? We talked about that. Now, how many of you are using your header tags to organize your content? Right? So when you're looking at building out your website, and Christine, you do this every day, right? You know the role of the header tag. And the search engine will tell you an H2 and an H3 header don't really matter. Well, that was fine for the old school search results. But when it comes to voice search and AI, it's starting to matter again.
Right. So if you didn't think it mattered before, now you had to go back and fix all that.
Yeah, that's right. So all that stuff you skipped over when you built your website, you got to go back to your designer and go, hey, we got a problem here. So again, local SEO is important. So making sure your business profile is up to date. And now, some people don't know, you can tie your business profile to your social media, so your Facebook and all your other stuff. You can add offers, you can add events, right? There's a lot that you can be doing to optimize the business profile. Of course, reviews are always important.
Right.
But then location specific.
Knowing the rules and regulations for Google, it's not Facebook. You can't post on it 7 times a day.
Right. Right.
You're getting a lot of trouble, right? So
yeah.
Do a little research on the Google business profile before you start going too crazy.
Yeah, get with your SEO expert and your social media experts and say, okay, what are best practices? Let's figure this out, right? And then,
that's really important.
yeah, and because they just won't show it, right? You could be doing all this work and then you go to your profile and nothing's there. And you're like, okay, what just happened? Well, you used an image in the wrong way, so we knocked you out, right? And it's now all algorithmic based, so you don't even have a chance to appeal it. It's just the machine goes, I didn't like it, so I didn't show it. Right?
Yeah.
And again, for local SEO, things that people say near me, city names, nearby, all that stuff. Okay, so here's some technical considerations. We were talking about question style keywords in your content, updating your listings. So this is important for AI search, right? So schema markup. Again, this is a website techie term, but talk to your web designer about this if you're not sure. Page speed optimization. I don't know if people are familiar with content delivery networks, but if you have a lot of content, like a large e-commerce site, this is something you might want to consider. It could really speed up your page delivery, which also affects your search results in the shopping bar. So if you're doing Google Shopping ads and all the product that goes across the top of the page, if you haven't done product ads before, it's something you might want to consider as a layer, even if you don't have very many, but you can optimize for it. And then if you have a large e-commerce site, you have this content delivery network, which is a series of servers around the country that holds large amounts of data to deliver to a nearby machine. So if I'm searching for Home Depot, you can bet their e-commerce site is ginormous. So their content delivery network is sending all of that content from their store to my local machine from a nearby server. Now, I'm in California, so I'm sure there's a server nearby in California, right? But these server networks are all over the place. So having that as a tool for page speed optimization seems like a small thing, but when you're competing with giants like Amazon and Home Depots and some of the large, you're competing for that business, it's something that you're going to want to consider because you want to cross that finish line first, right? Of course, mobile responsiveness. A lot of website design out there says they have a mobile
and then you get there and you look at the mobile and you go, oh my goodness, no, this is horrible.
What just happened, right? The order of columns and things like that. So, it's important. How do you want to show up in a vertical display?
From a web design perspective, I understand that it takes longer to go through and make all those changes, right? So to make sure things are mobile friendly, it takes time. Don't think that's one of those overnight things. Give your designer some time to make that happen.
Yeah, exactly. And site architecture is important, right? Making sure that the navigation is logical and that the site map structure and your robot text is all dialed in for AI. So, okay, are we ready for a search engine marketing hack? All right, hold on to your seats.
All right, take notes. Here they come.
So, this is out of order. Of course. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So here it is. Here is your service stack. So this is a lot, right? And this is the process that we tend to go through with our clients. And what we find, most of our clients come to us and say, oh, well, we were with a marketing agency and we got okay results, but we think we can do better. Well, this is why, right? Because the service stack is one that is a progress that has to be adhered to in order for all these optimizations to work. So getting the story and the assets together, contextually identifying your audience, right? Optimizing. So all of these things that we've talked about, layering search engagement, right? Do we want ads? What's our desired outcome? What's our nurturing sequence? Do we have anonymous visitor identity and retargeting built in, right? All of these services are important if we're going to move the needle for you, right? Key event tracking and analytics, having a dashboard that identifies where the breaks are in your marketing campaigns. We had a large e-com company that was tracking page views, product views, shopping cart. They missed 3 or 4 key events in that tracking process that allowed us to demonstrate to them where the site was breaking down. So while they were getting good data and they were getting a return on their ad spend of about 2.5 times, everybody would be happy with that. By us going back and going through all of the key event tracking and analyzing where the breaks were, and then pulling the levers of site optimization and conversion optimization, we went from 2.5 times return on ad spend to 4.3 return on ad spend.
And let's take a moment to say, like, when you say breaks, what does that mean? Go ahead and go into a little more detail on what that means.
Sure. So key events are milestones or breadcrumbs that a customer journey takes on your website. So they see a page view, they go to a product description. Do they then read more about the product? Do they look at other suggestions on that product page? Did they go to the contact form instead of the shopping cart? Right? All of these key events in the tracking journey of the journey determines a percentage of a conversion to a sale. So if you come in on a page view, you're probably 2% likely to hit the shopping cart, right? But if you pulled up a product page and you scrolling is a key event, right? Then maybe you're now 20% likely. Well, did you then go and look at the manufacturer's information or how it would fit in your space? Did you do any type of configuration options, right? Now maybe you're a 40% chance of conversion. Did you click off and go to the contact form, or did you go to the shopping cart? Well, if you went to the contact form, why? What didn't the website tell you that you needed to know, right? So if you went to a contact form, you're not a conversion. You're a contact. If you went to the shopping cart, now you're closer, right? You put something in your shopping cart, now you're at an 80%, right? Now you entered your shipping information. Maybe you're 85, 90%. Now you entered your payment information, but did you submit? Right? So all of these are key events. So yeah, you put your payment information in, but you didn't hit the submit button, right? You're 95% there. Well, now I got to get you back if you abandon that shopping cart, right? Then you hit that submit button. Now you're 100% because you came to the thank you page, right? So this key event tracking and the customer journey and knowing where people are going and why creates a percentage of a conversion. So if I can pull the biggest lever you have, which is website conversion value, I can take your return on ad spend and increase it by 40 to 60%.
Wow, just walk us through that whole process of and a lot of times we don't think, we just think, oh, buy. Did they buy? Did they not buy? Right? There's a lot of little mini steps in between to get them there, right? And if you're not tracking that, then how can you make any changes to improve it, right?
Exactly. So now let's talk about how that relates to the AI newswire. Everyone knows what a press release is, but do you know what the AI newswire is? And the AI newswire is a platform that scans the content out there that digital publishers produce and surfaces that content and presents it to them. So, get there on the right screen here. So optimizing for the newswire and how this works. So you got to start with strong metadata, because the AI, like we talked about, they love clarity, structure, relevance. Is your content salient, right? Trends you should know about, a little bit vague. Top 5 voice search trends to watch in 2025, very specific. Now the AI platform knows how to answer that search.
Now, when you say metadata, what say what?
Well, so metadata are tags that describe the information that you're about to give. So if you have good descriptive metadata in your content, then the search engines say, okay, this person is going to give me the answer to a question. And then the content answers the question, right? So you have to kind of look at that structure again, get with your SEO expert or your website expert and really dig into what metadata is for you and how to utilize it. So when we're talking about titles and headings and things like that, specificity equals visibility. So I'm going to show you an example. Let's see.
And write that down, right? What?
Specificity equals visibility. So here's a press release that we created based on some of these things. And I'm not going to, drill down into reading this. All I want you to see is the formatting. So you can see headlines, quick description, bullets, right? There's a link for more information. There's contact information, right? Who is this? And, how are we identifying this client? How do they get in touch with them, right? So all of these things are very clear, very concise. The image relates to the content. So the image metadata is telling the search engines this is about a legal topic, right? So we get that.
So this isn't your old school press release where it was just one big fat paragraph.
No, and what comes out of it is we're talking about how do I get on page 1 of Google search? Well, here's the summary of what actually happened. So placements, 481 placements came off of that press release. That's called dominating page 1 in search, right? Because now it's going through news networks and Fox and, bar chart. So here's the list of all the placements, right? So you can see that if you were to do a search, then on this topic, page 1 would be only your information.
Right. So the idea of PR is public relations. It's out there in the public. It's everywhere. It makes you look like you're everywhere.
Yeah. And beyond that, what happens is it's no longer just about telling the broadcast media that you got something going on. It's identifying the newswire and the search engines and the AI chatbots. It's giving them that information to display in a search result. So here's another one we did, 479 placements, okay, over 100 million potential reach. And there's, again, all the placements. So if you were to do a search on this topic, you're now dominating page 1. And what's fun is when you go into the analytics, you'll see, if you look at the source traffic, when we did a comparison for 2 more weeks, there was referrals to the website from various citations. So they were not just getting published, they were driving traffic to their website. And it was is an enormous list, right? So, you can double your traffic overnight. So our releases are now indexed by the AI chatbots, ChatGPT, Perplexity, so on and so on. And what it does, in a practical sense, is it embeds your press release in the chatbot. I don't know how more valuable I can make this sound. If anyone's ever ran a chat query, now think about Google search. They're now using their chatbot data in the normal search bar. So,
Well, and I've noticed that when you search in the normal chat for Google, it'll actually give you the answers, and then it has a link back to the original source, right? So you're like, oh, well, I want to find out more about that. Click, right? And it takes them back. So those are those keywords that you were talking about, key phrases. That's what's showing up at the top, right? You might have 6, 7, 8 different items right there that they're thinking relates to exactly to what you're asking. And there's your chance to show up on those searches and have people end up back on your website again.
Totally. And so, what we've done now, the next level of this, and this is just in the last 30 to 60 days, we're now taking the press release and turning it into audio. So that goes to podcasts. So Spotify, Amazon Music, and so on, right? For more podcast placements. So think about, this reframes the question of what's a press release and how do we use it, right? So it's not just we're putting on a local event, y'all come. Now it's, this is who we are, this is who we reach, this is why we do it, this is how you benefit. And when we're clear and concise and well structured, now the chatbots grab it. Now we can take that press release and turn it into an audio listing, and now you're showing up in audio search.
Oh, mind blowing. Once again, Joel, you have given us so much information to filter through our brains.
So voice plus AI is more visibility and more impact, right? The voice search triggers your blog. Your blog is picked up by the AI curated newsfeed, and now your visibility is on autopilot. So here's the magic. Think like a journalist with AI in mind. Lead with value. Your headlines should be answers, not thoughts. Think about that. AI-friendly formatting, why it matters, bullets, things that are easy to read, right? So we talked about the service stack. I'm coming back to it now because I want you to get the full impact of it. So these are not just have-to-haves. These are must-haves.
That's a long list there, Joel.
Yeah, and if you want to finish across the finish line first or second or third, right, there's lots of things, lots of little levers that we have to talk about outside of budget, right? People think, oh, I can just buy my way onto page 1. Not so much anymore, right? Because even people that are buying that page, top of page position, Google is saying, are you worth showing that? Or is one of your competitors better, who's bidding the same amount or has the same budget? Or even I've even had slightly lower budgets take that top of page position at least 60% of the time, right? So there's percentages and things that we track around that leverage what budget we have available, right? But if we don't have these other things dialed in, you could spend more than anybody and never be seen. I don't say never, but not as much as you think you should. Right?
Yeah, so it's not all about just throwing money at it. It's doing the right things. And that's a long step. So if people are going, man, I don't even know how to keep track of where do I get this list, Joel?
Yeah, well, this is not a checklist. This is a service list, right? So you don't just go through and check these things off. These are tasks that have to be executed. And whether you're doing it with a full service agency like ours, or with your web designer, or however you manage your content, or do it yourself, if you don't want to run your business anymore and you just want a full-time job as an SEO marketer, then you go through this process, right? Because it's not just about search, it's about being found, right? And I can't say that any more clearly than that. We have to have a strategy that allows us to be found. And that's what I wanted this presentation to come to you about today was, we've had plenty of presentations and lots of lectures over the years about SEO and how to optimize your content and so on, because we want to be found, right? The ultimate answer to that question is, will I show up in search, right? But this is not about search. And I don't know how to be more clear about this. This is about being found. And if we're not pulling the levers of all the tools out there that are responding to how people behave, then we're going to be overlooked. We'll be invisible and we'll be frustrated. And, I've had people with $4,000 a month just in one campaign never spend their budget because they couldn't get found, right? They gave the money to say, Google, go spend this money, show me up. And they couldn't spend it because they wouldn't take the discipline to be found. All right. So
overall big strategy we got going on. I told you, Joel's a big thinker.
Yeah, and I know this is a lot, right? And I don't want people to feel overwhelmed, because it is overwhelming, right? Because there is help out there, and there are people that specialize in one or all of these topics. And so I want to do something for you. I do want to give you a gift for sticking around and listening to me. So there's a couple things. One is you can go here, free idea session, and book a one-on-one with us. I'll be happy to sit down and chat with you about your situation, see where the gaps are, and give you an idea of what it might take to fill those gaps. But then if you do book that meeting and we sit down, I'll buy the coffee, right? I'll get you your favorite cup of joe. If you're not a coffee drinker, you'll be able to get tea or a cold drink or whatever you like. But bottom line is, sit down, let's chat for 30 minutes. Let's have a conversation, and then we can drill into some of these different topics and how you can be better found, right? So there's a QR code there. It'll take you right to my booking link. My website is there. If you go there, you'll be able to download a PDF summary of this presentation, which looks like this. So you can go right to the website. You can find it there on the link. And it says free gift, optimize on the nav bar. Might be a little hard to see, but it's there. And you can go and just pull. It's not going to ask for your email address. We're not going to capture your information as far as you know. And
I'm thinking Joel has some magic going on behind the scenes to take care of that.
But we're not going to hound you. We're not going to spam you. We're certainly not going to reach out to you if you don't want to be reached. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Great opportunity, right? It's just to sit down with Joel for 30 minutes and just get some of his insights for your business specifically. That's worth its weight in gold right there, folks. You don't want to miss that opportunity, let alone the summary of all that wealth of information he shared today. You want to grab that also.
Thank you. And it's really been a pleasure. And you can see this is what it looks like in my office. We've got we got screens that are doing all this stuff. And so that we can report back to our clients in real time what's working, where the breaks are, what we need to optimize. We have ongoing one-on-ones, strategy sessions with our clients to make sure they're well informed. And frankly, there's times when we lose, right? I mean, but they're market conditions usually, and those need to be identified. And seasonality, right? We need to talk about that, right? So there's lots of other things that influence your chances to be found. But in the end, we want to be the one that gets found in whatever market condition we're in.
Absolutely. Do you want to throw your QR code up one more time for people to be able to book an appointment with you? And there it is right there, folks. Pull out your phone, scan that, get on his calendar. You don't want to miss this opportunity to talk with Joel. Joel, you've been doing the CMO, kind of a chief marketing officer as a fractional role for different companies for a while now. And the experience that you bring to the table, I imagine you've seen it all.
Well, I mean, I'm not really qualified to do anything else. So I've been in advertising, marketing, and sales since 1984. And there probably isn't an industry that I haven't touched in some way or have some experience with. But being a student of business has always been important to me. And when you look at the Inc. 500, that was always a big telltale kind of success story if you made that list, right? We spent a lot of time studying those companies and what's made them successful. And so when we go to these marketing platform gurus and they tell us how to 10x our business, we now have some context to be able to say, okay, well, this is appropriate or it's not appropriate, right? This is something we can add, or it's something that, is not relevant to our desired outcomes, right? So we always want to work that equation backwards. What's the desired outcome? Who's your market? How do you serve that market? And then we put a strategy together to move the needle.
I love it. Joel, thank you so much for coming today and sharing your wisdom with us. And I'm sure as AI has been changing in the way we do business and the way we do marketing, right? So it's nice to have some insights on, that's how it's going to impact my business. Good to know, right?
Yeah, the trends are tough to keep up with. So, unless you're in it every day, sometimes it's hard to even when we are in it every day, it's hard to keep up with. So.
Absolutely. And AI doesn't look like it's going away anytime soon. So
nope. And what's fun is while it's providing some revolutionary business process improvements, it's important to understand where the gaps are. But it's like any industrial revolution. We're in a digital revolution, and it's now just a matter of adapting to how we use these tools and how we use our intelligence to continue moving our businesses forward. And so whether it's disintermediating a service or whether it's adding services on that make us more efficient, more productive, in the end, it's real estate. How much real estate can we capture, right? And so having these trends and following these trends and being knowledgeable in how to stay ahead of the competition, it's not about beating the trend, ladies and gentlemen. It's about staying ahead of it's like the guy running from a bear. How fast do you need to run? Just a little bit faster than the guy behind you, right? So if we can do that, right, we can keep you found.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joel, so much. We've got the link in the chat to visit his website. Remember, go to that top, go to free gift, and that will get you to his website and get your free gift so that you can kind of help remember what we went over today, because that was a lot of information, right? And then book that appointment with Joel. You're going to be really glad that you did.
My pleasure. Well, thank you so much.
So as we wrap things up, a Tuesday marketing broadcast. We do this every Tuesday. So if you're looking for what's going on in the marketing world and how this might help your business, be sure to tune in every Tuesday and join us. And on Wednesdays, we have networking for marketers. So if you're in the PR space, the media space, the marketing space, don't be a lonelypreneur. Come hang out with us. Talk to our peeps. We're real friendly. That's our give back. That's the time where we just get together, and sometimes we do troubleshooting. You just never know what we're going to do. We figure out ways to white label each other. We just have a lot of fun in there. So come hang out with us. You want to go to givermarketing.com/networking and hang out with us on Wednesdays, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, and that's every Wednesday. So come be part of the tribe. And we will see you again next Tuesday. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you. Take good care.